18th century British social theorist Jeremy Bentham devoted much of his career to designing institutions meant to reform society with maximum efficiency. The most famous of Bentham's works was the Panopticon, a prison design he theorized would make constant surveillance of inmates unnecessary through its unique system of unverifiable observation. Bentham's Panopticon is a circular prison built around a central watchtower constructed so that a single guard would be able to view any of the inmate population at any time. At full operational power, and this was key to Bentham's design, the Panopticon wouldn't need guards at all. Once the prisoners internalized the possibility of constant surveillance, the guards could be removed, and the prisoners would, in effect, become their own guards. In the 1970s, Michel Foucault argued that Bentham's Panopticon wasn't just a prison design, but a model for an entire system of social control. The same disciplinary logic used on the Panopticon's prisoners could be applied to factories, schools, hospitals, or, as Bentham wrote, any sort of establishment in which persons of any description are to be kept under inspection. The system works not through physical force, but through the internalized threat of constant surveillance. This disciplinary logic persists in digital culture, but the central watchtower, with its single guard, has been replaced by endless algorithms and networked infrastructure. In Foucault and Bentham's Panopticon, individuals are conditioned to believe that they're constantly at risk of being watched. But in today's digital Panopticon, we aren't being observed as individuals, but instead as data points, not as individuals, but as dividuals. Discrete fragments of our identities are captured and reassembled into fragmented profiles optimized for prediction and profit. We are no longer seen holistically, but as the sum of our constituent digital parts. We internalize the algorithmic gaze and understand ourselves as the system does. Information to be collected, aggregated, analyzed, packaged, and resold back to us at a premium. So with this in mind, a new definition of the Panopticon emerges. A digital system of surveillance that leverages mutual observation and algorithmic mediation to produce a culture that governs itself. Social media plays a major role in the new Panopticon, where we have the freedom to become hypervisible, yet never fully seen. Personas built only from what we choose to disclose. The algorithm learns your behavior, you learn the algorithm's preferences. Every interaction feeds the system that determines what gets seen, what gets amplified, who gets attention. The user curates their online behavior accordingly. But this mutual relationship between user and algorithm operates at scales far beyond individual platforms. US-based software company Palantir Technologies weaponizes this kind of distributed surveillance. Palantir software aggregates data from disconnected sources, then synthesizes it to predict patterns and identify threats. There's Foundry for commercial use and civil government, and Gotham for defense and intelligence software. Palantir claims they aren't a data broker. Rather, they assert that their software, quote, powers real-time AI-driven decisions in critical government and commercial enterprises in the West. Clients use Palantir software to analyze data collected from private citizens, often without their knowledge or meaningful consent, to track individuals and identify threats on a scale limited only by what data they have access to. This is what Burgers and Robinson call networked authoritarianism. The platforms meant to liberate and connect us have become tools for control. But we're not just being watched, we are active participants who trade data for convenience, for validation, for community. Online performances are calculated for algorithmic success. Views and likes become proxies for self-worth. And we turn the lens on each other, filming strangers mid-meltdown, broadcasting confrontations, exploiting spectacle for increased visibility. Bentham's architecture has been inverted. The single, centralized watchtower has been replaced by omnidirectional surveillance, and we readily step into the dual role of observed observer. The technique of control Foucault theorized persists, breeding the same compulsion towards perpetual performance that Bentham envisioned. But Bentham didn't seem to anticipate what might happen when this sort of panoptic surveillance goes national. When visibility becomes reciprocal, the architecture of control contains the seeds of its own resistance. Digital platforms profit from extracted and monetized user data, yet these same platforms also enable citizen journalism and accountability. Amazon warehouse workers expose unfair labor practices. Protest footage bypasses traditional media gatekeepers. Community organizers coordinate despite algorithmic suppression. The same tools used to discipline populations into passive obedience now enable them to document abuses of power, expose injustice, and mobilize resistance. Unlike Bentham's prisoners trapped in a one-way observation, we inhabit a system of mutual visibility. The same technologies that enable our surveillance also render power's operations visible, creating possibilities for documentation, exposure, and resistance that Bentham never anticipated.